so many structures, all right? It flattened so many structures. It flattened almost everything. The humanity itself never seen anything like this. Now we have changed the way we are living, okay? And what about the earth? They said earth taking its time to reset itself. Businesses has gone busted, okay? And the way that overnight the changes that took place, and recently I saw on statistics in what do you call in US, 7 airline combined the market capitalization is 46 billion, and Zoom alone is 48 billion. So you can see how things have changed, right? And that also bring about the changes in the work environment. That's going to be a new work, and now work from home is the common topic, and there are so many definitions of that. And with that changes, and we are facing unprecedented issues, all right, that related to work, and also what you call the human nature itself. So School of Business and Economics in UPM, and thought that this will be a right time for us to bring in some experts to talk about this. All right, what are the future, okay, lies ahead for this existing working adult and also up and coming professionals. We want to talk about the new mindset needed, new skill set needed, new competencies, new characteristic needed, not only just to survive, but to thrive in this new world. So to address that, so that you can design your destiny, to address that, we have got esteemed panelists with us. Allow me to introduce them one by one before we go into that one. To begin with, okay, allow me to introduce Miss Jocelyn Jalil. Okay, Miss Jocelyn Jalil, all right? She's an energetic, okay, HR, senior HR leader, and we are talking about close to 18 to 20 years experience in the field of HR. And currently, she is head of HR at JPEG region, Calderma, all right? Hi, Jocelyn. Say hi to the audience, all
Hello,
right?
hi. Hi,
Okay,
Mehan. Yep, hi
okay.
everyone.
And her previous track record goes in regional HR director of Estelas Pharma, HR business partner in the BHP. And I actually known her, I've recorded her as the head of HR for Johnson and Johnson. All right. And also she was a senior human resource manager for Asia Pacific Pharmaceutical. The list go on and on. But very proudly in the School of Business and Economics, and we know her as our very own baby, right? She used to be a student of our faculty, and actually she is now flagging our flag up there. And we are so proud to have you with us, Jocelyn, today. Right?
Very grateful to be here as well.
Okay, thank you. And the next speaker will be Mr. Raj Kumar, okay, Paramanandam. Okay, this is the gentleman that actually do not need any introductions in the field out there. Recently, I saw he's sharing on a LinkedIn, and it catches my eyes, all right? And he says that according to his business partner, he has branded, and he also shared a topic, branding versus bragging, right? And he actually talked about this. He said, if you're not being called by Raj, you're not in the space yet. I recall that, Mr. Raj, right? And this is the managing director of Synergy Asia, managing partner of IRC Global, executive search partners, member of a building board ready for women leaders. This is very important, the topic, building board ready women leaders. When I contacted Raj, I know him close to 20 years now. When I contacted Raj, and that one condition that he put forward that never before anybody did that, Mehan, make sure there is an equal representation of women in this webinar. That's what he told me that. Okay, and you can see that we have developed that as it is now. And also, he's the board member of a thought leadership and global leader for energy practice. Welcome on board, Mr. Raj.
Thank you, Mehan.
Thank you. And the third panelist that we have right now is our very own homegrown associate professor, Dr. Dalia. All right. She again, I recall the moment when she was doing a master's, and we were working together a project, and I brought her to MIHRM. All right, we had a focus group, okay, and the topic at that time was work-life balance. She really wanted to study about what is work-life balance about, and she is known for that. It's a darling of our students in the faculty, and she also the former head of ISPAS, Institute for Social Science and Studies at UPM. And in the space today, she is well known as the case study expert and also the coaching expert. Dalia, welcome on board.
Hi,
Okay.
Mehan.
Hi.
Thank you.
Okay, then another person, that another homegrown be Raja Nerina. Okay, Raja Yusuf, our associate professor. Okay, we fondly call her as Nerine, but of course she's associate professor. She is here because she's going to share something very interesting about how UPM is actually getting the university graduates to become the future ready professionals. She is our MBA program coordinator from the School of Business and Economics. Hi, Nerine.
Hi, Mehan. So
Okay.
everyone, stay tuned until the end
Okay.
of the session.
Good, good, good. Thank you, thank you. So let's straight go into our discussion for the day. All right. I'm going to bring Mr. Raj to on board now. Raj, from your various experience and extensive local and global and stuff like that, you have seen people. You know that when you're calling somebody for that post, the only word that I can think of is that they have a credibility. Otherwise, you would be calling them. They have done that and they're doing that. They have proven to that. So you tell me, okay, you share with us, okay, what are the skills and competencies, crucial skills and competencies do you think that employees must master so that they will be in your map? Go ahead.
Okay. Thanks for the kind introduction, Mehan, and a very good morning to all participants and my fellow panelists. Looking forward to your sharing later as well. But back to Mehan's question, to share the key competencies that will be crucial for success in the uh, future. I would rather provide a context behind it. That is important. The context behind the whole need to build the skills. So prior to the pandemic, there are typically about 7 to 8 mega trends that we were watching. One of it is obviously something that we are all very familiar with. That is the automation and technology. Second is urbanization. So as you can see, just look around us in Kuala Lumpur. Bangsa South was developed so quickly in the last 10 years. It used to be Kerinci, but now it's Bangsa South with many new buildings, new towers, and of course, together with that, multinational companies setting up the office there with lots of job opportunities. Likewise, all around KL, Penang, and Johor, that there are massive urbanization going on, which means that there is much more demand for qualified leaders or qualified employees. But that also brings me to the next question, which is next point, which is that also means migration of our colleagues or friends from Kelantan, Kedah, from other states coming into these cities for better opportunities. Now, which means now there's a bigger workforce, and the keyword, the buzzword in the last 10 years, but in Malaysia in the last 5 years, is diversity and inclusion. So you can see it's not just gender, but it's also in terms of background and ethnicity and age diversity. So that's another mega trend. And one more mega trend will be definitely sustainability. So as you have rightfully pointed out, during the pandemic, people became more conscious. We became better human beings. We started talking about the nature healing. We started talking about, using plastics properly, carefully. We're talking about climate change and so on. So you can see more and more new generation that comes into the workplace. More and more large companies will be demanding for policies on sustainability among their vendors, suppliers, among the companies that we buy our products from. I'm sure all of us nowadays, when we buy any product, we now tend to look at their content, the ingredient. We tend to see whether are they environmental friendly. So all these will definitely give rise to different kind of thinking, different kind of competencies. Now, essentially, there are 9 which are drawn out, but in the interest of time, let me just share the critical one first. The rest, I'll just touch on it. Now, the most critical that comes into play will be courage and confidence. Now, this is going beyond communication, right? So we all know communication is one key competency, but let me be more specific on why there is a key competency. So some people do have good communication skills, but and they think that is enough, but no. So beyond communication skills is courage and confidence. Why? So when you have the right level of courage and confidence, your decision-making abilities improve tremendously. Secondly, especially in a world where now we demand high levels of ethics and integrity, we need key team members who have the courage and the confidence to say what is right, to say what is wrong. So if in a team meeting there's an idea that's proposed and you have a better idea or you think the idea may not work, you must have the courage and the confidence to speak up, right? So that's the next keyword, to speak up. So when it comes to speaking up, then we must also be aware of the diversity of people around us. So when you are running a meeting, there could be some individuals who are introverts, and introverts are known not to speak up. Now, that does not mean that they do not have sufficient information to share on that topic. So how do you then get them to speak up? So there are methods behind it. For example, after the meeting, email to them, ask them to write down their thoughts. But that is what courage and confidence is all about. Second is stretched opportunities. Now, more and more employers and myself, we look for individuals who, through their career path, they have gone beyond their functional requirements. So if you are in finance, they tend to get involved in projects by the company, and normally these are what you call mission critical projects. Now, these are important because this is one opportunity for you to be visible, for you to use your current skills outside your function. Second is to learn new skills that you never had, so that you are ready for the next promotion. The other one is third, own your work. Now, this is one prevalent issue among the culture, Malaysian culture. Own your work is going beyond finishing your work. So finishing your work, finishing a task and going back home is bare minimum. But owning your work is when things go wrong, you fix it. Don't blame it on others. Even when you're waiting for others to give feedback on your task, follow up with them. Don't wait for them to come back to you. And likewise. The other one is staying curious. Because of diversity, we tend to make judgments quickly. We tend to have preset perception about a certain gender or a race or someone from a different state. Someone is different from you. So when someone is different from you, you find it difficult to accept them because it's not a common statement they make. It's not a common comment they make. So now you can't help it in the near future. You'll be working with colleagues who come with different backgrounds. And one way to stop doing that is to step back and stay curious. So quickly, the others are building networks, networking, widen learning beyond your own function, staying invested, and also staying curious. Yeah, I covered that.
Okay. Thank you, Raj. I picked up a few things, those are the interesting thing. I like the word when you said that, courage. Courage go beyond just having confidence alone. You did mention about that, and I think the key one that I picked up from here is that owning your work is not just finishing it off. It's like that you are part of the work, and why the organization. I think that is beyond that employee engagement part that we're talking about. All right, owning the work and stay curious. Yeah. I think Steve Jobs said it well. Stay hungry, right? Stay hungry. Thanks, Raj. Then you're talking about Jocelyn coming to the picture now. I mean, being there, having done that and whatnot. I'm sure that Jocelyn, you have promoted so many people. All right. Now, let's say you're looking for somebody to be promoted. What are the things that you'll be looking into them? What are the personal characteristic attribute competencies that they must demonstrate in order for them to for you to have trust on them to be promoted? Jocelyn, please enlighten us.
Thank you, Mehan. And I also just want to call out to all. I think there might be some students or potential students in UPM. I studied in UPM for my undergraduate in Human Resource Development course. And after that, I did my MBA in UPM as well, Graduate School of Management. And I'm very, very grateful that throughout my career, I've had the opportunity to be exposed in Malaysia, but also in Asia Pacific, in global roles. And like what you mentioned, Mehan, I have had promoted so many talent within and also through external network. But at the same time, my personal experience, and I would love to share with all of you, what are the competencies or characteristics that I look for, or I have personally realized that it has helped me throughout the way. And I'm glad that although myself and Raj, we have not connected regarding what we are going to talk, but it's somehow related to each other. So there's three parts that I would say are very critical to me. The first part would be more of inwards of how you do to yourself. And the other two is like what you do to others. And the first area is really the self-awareness. Like what Raj mentioned about confidence, conviction. I think without self-awareness, knowing who you really are, there's no way you could build that conviction that confidence and good judgment in how you think. And another part that I think I could resonate well with what Raj mentioned is be exceptionally good at what you do. It's not
Mhm.
just, it's no longer enough to be good or average. You need to be exceptional. If you think that someone is good, you need to be 10 times better. And how you do it, right? Day in, day out to make yourself better. If you're in IT, if you're in engineering, if you're in HR or finance, how you can be exceptional in your profession. So that's the first part of how you can do to yourself. But to me, to promote someone or to make for you to be ready to take up bigger job, there are two critical areas that I think we all need to start looking. First is leadership. And leadership, I actually put it in two parts. One is that as a leader, how do you bring better future and greater impact to to the organization and to the people? Just think about the leaders that you have in your mind right now. Let's say someone that you have in mind. Is this person bringing better future to the country, to the organization, to the society? That to me is leader. So therefore, if you want to be promoted, you need to stop just thinking about you. How can I be promoted? But start thinking, how can I impact a greater part of my ecosystem? The second part is that of leadership is how you can make other people as good as you, if not better, by leading and develop others. To me, that is critical as part of leadership traits that I look for to promote, and also look at myself, thinking about how do I serve greater impact. If I can impact 10 people, how can I impact 10,000 people, right? That's when you realize that you are ready for promotion. The last bit, I think Raj mentioned earlier on about communication is critical. And I want to emphasize this. Once you know yourself well, once you know you can bring greater impact. However, if you're not able to communicate it effectively and able to inspire other and captivate people when you communicate, I think no matter how good you are within and how you do well, you're not able to create a sense of greater impact to other people to not able to communicate what you have done and what you're able to do effectively. So I stop there for the moment.
Yep, yep. Thanks. Thanks, Gisline. Thanks, Gisline. No, it's actually you took me to the journey of trying to understand what leadership is all about. It was so cool. You started by saying that it's all about inward first, in out, not outer in, inner out. I think the key, the main important point that I picked up from what you have shared is that self-awareness. I think in the literature of coaching and also leadership today, whenever we are developing a program for leaders, we are talking about it, at least 40 to 50% of the content is on self-awareness. First of all, who am I and why I want to be a leader? I think you said it very well
Yep.
with that. And the second point, you said, be the best. All right. You want to get noticed, be the best, be exceptionally
Right.
good. You said, otherwise, I remember that one of the quotation that I realized that no point that you're being a generalist. Generalist is someone who knows something about everything. All right. But you got to be the specialist, especially someone that who knows everything about something. Only when you become a specialist that people will notice you. You said it so well with that, all right? And also communication. Best definition of leaders. There is no way you're going to recognize somebody as leader if he or she do not show us a better future, all right?
Yep.
Thank you, thank you. Dalia, okay, this is where you come in, okay? Raj and what do you call Jocelyn, they came in and telling that what exactly happened. What about this knowledge part, Dalia? We are talking about the knowledge, the importance of even before you go and perform. What are the fundamental knowledge that also the mindset that you must have about the knowledge in order to become that what do you call a successful person?
All right. Okay. Thank you, Mihan. In terms of knowledge, people always say that knowledge is power, but I believe that a wrong use of knowledge can also cause you to become powerless in a way. But knowledge in by definition or in general, they are actually facts, information, and skills acquired through experience and education. So if you play your cards well, in terms of I mean, having good knowledge can actually create a great competitive advantage for you. So basically, the two central ideas that comes here would be experience and education. So I would categorize the former as more informal, and the later can be a bit formal. So, for example, uh, they when we were kids, sometimes we understand that or we learn that when we actually be honest or we respect people, we tend to get people to like us more. But this is actually the learning by experience.
Mhm.
On the other hand, education is more about learning about theories and concepts behind certain issues. So when we grow up and perhaps we enter a class on behavior, we discover that all these things such as honesty, respect, they're actually part of values, and with values, it creates a greater culture. And by having that culture, it acts as a glue that binds peoples together. So in looking at these two things, it it shows that both experience and education, they actually complement one another, and they give you a better perspective of knowledge uh, overall. Yeah. So I mean, what I'm trying to say is that the more knowledge we acquire, the more it gives us a complete picture and understanding towards our reality.
Yeah.
So I mean, by knowing the two sides of the coins. So let's say we are talking about our experience plus the knowledge or education side of it. We are also our skills can also be cultivated, and hopefully we become a more successful person as we move to the future. With all this current pandemic, the one that I see, there seem to have to be like a lot of new knowledge to be acquired and a lot of new things to learn, and
Mhm.
sometimes perhaps unlearn as well. For example, we learn that now technology is a must, so we have to learn new ways of doing things. As lecturers like us, we suddenly are pushed towards something new, that we have to learn how to do classes online. We have to be well versed with all these Google Meet, whatever the social medias that are available as our platform to share our knowledge. So that is things that we have to learn continuously. So I would like to sort of say that at the end of the day, an investment in knowledge normally they pays the best interest
Yeah.
as compared to other things.
Correct, correct. Okay, thank you, Delia. One of the icon there for younger generations, right? What do you call those who would like to know like to be in the space is Gary Vaynerchuk. Gary V, is somebody that I follow. He always asks this question. Also, he asked the question: is your investment for sorry, if your investment for your entertainment bigger than your investment for education? Is asking, how come you are prepared to pay for Netflix but not for some webinar? He always asks that question. So he said the investment. And I think Dr. Dahlia highlighted it's not only knowledge, but it's a combining with that, what you call education and knowledge, right? And how you're going to bring that experience in it. I think that eventually will make us as a reflective practitioner. Okay. And she ended up by saying that, yeah, knowledge is not something that you're going to gain now. It's going to be a lifelong process. You got to learn forever. There is no way that you can become a learned person. I think we should be dying as a learning person. For that purpose, I met up with Professor Emeritus Tan Sri Anwar Ali, the giant in the field when it comes to the what you call lifelong learning, continuous learning. He's been places, and he was a former president and the vice chancellor of Open University, and currently is also the vice chancellor of Savijaya Universities. And it was such a pleasure for me to reach out to him and also get to know what is the actual gist of this lifelong learning and why people should embark this journey of becoming a lifelong learner. Let's watch that video, that a quick sharing by him. What is lifelong learning?
must be at par. Meaning, we can tell them, okay, you must read this one, you must read this book,
And
or
this,
you must read this article.
this is the YouTube video, you know. the
Yeah, yeah. These are, that means for the student, they have to be moving in parallel to what is happening. So that's why sometimes people say that when our fresh graduate go for interviews, their failure is not only maybe certain company they want you to speak English,
Right.
but I think that's not the main thing. The main thing is knowledge, because employer will ask you what you know about this, what you know about that. So you have to be on the alert. And I've interviewed lecturers at OUM of late, and they say when I was studying, the lecturer didn't inform me about this. That's not a good answer.
Yeah. But how to bring about this mindset about the working adults becoming lifelong learners?
I think one of the most important thing that I should say is that passion, and that passion to learn. I mean, I'm still contributing in a sense.
Oh yes,
Although I'm above 70,
all of us
I
are-
try, because it's always you keep your mind alert.
Mhm.
That's very important. And nowadays, information is so, you can see anywhere.
easy
You
to
can
find.
click.
Yeah.
The system provide you.
Correct.
Whereas during our time, maybe during my time, worse.
Mm.
I mean, sometimes it's only the library,
Yeah.
or what we hear from the professor.
Mhm.
Apart from that, reading article and so on
And
from the library.
photos, clipping and materials, our
Yes,
digital
yes.
articles
It's all
and
hard
everything,
copy. It's all
Yeah.
hard copy. And I remember during my undergraduate days, we used to quarrel over red spotted books,
Yep, yep,
because these are material that the professor will always say you must read this article and so on, or you must read this book. So things have changed so much,
Yeah.
and the exposure to all sorts of knowledge is certainly very important. But of course, if we are very professional about it, you have to read so much, because now information can be fake information as well.
That's another aspect. It's not about
Yeah, you have to actually gauge whether is this real or is this fake and so on.
It can be easily informed.
Yeah, but I think coming back to this, the passion to learn is reflected in the school system as well.
Okay.
If you see the Scandinavian countries, if you see Japan, and even Korea, the student at school will have this habit of reading. They like to read. And this is carried forward to to their forever.
Mhm.
And I mean, you go to certain European countries, you go on the train, they read. In Japan, they read. In Korea, is coming up.
Yes, yes.
But in Malaysia, if you are in the train, if you read a book, people will look at you.
Exactly. You are the
So-
odd one.
So that's the culture,
Yeah, true.
of which we have to. So coming back to your question, I think it starts from school, and also the family.
Mm.
The family must be able to inculcate among the children that it's important to read, it's important to seek knowledge, and so on. So it's forever.
That is from Tan Sri Anwar Ali, right? A giant in the field of lifelong learning. It was such an awakening moment for me, even to learn, and I realized that how far at the age of 70 something, he said that he is still contributing. Okay, come back to our main discussion right now, and I'm going to call upon Mr. Raj again. Raj, when you bring somebody at the senior positions and being an executive search consultant, you're bringing somebody to, to certain organizations which has got a clear plan. You actually putting your credibility online, right? When you're what you call assessing someone, and we are saying to that your client that, okay, this person is the right fit for you. Okay, so in order to make that decision, he or she is the right fit, what will be the personal characteristics and attributes beyond the competencies that you look for in a person, Raj?
Okay, thank you, Mehana. So the characteristics that we look for is customized based on each vacancy at the senior level, and is based on our discussion with the board and the stakeholders. So it's not that I create as a condition to enter the room, right? So that's very important to understand the circumstances behind the hiring. What are their future goals? What are the challenges they have? From there, from our experience, we know what are the necessary competencies they need to bring the company to the next phase. And most of the time, to back to your question, the most common requirement by clients will be back to what I said earlier, courage and confidence. So to be more specific in decision making. So their clients' most common pet peeve is that the Malaysian leaders, not many of them, they have the courage to make decisions, and these are difficult decisions. So one is definitely decision making skills. So when we interview them, we look for areas where they have made decisions. It may not be quick, they may take the time, but even if it's quick and it's wrong, what do they do to correct it? So one is decision making skills. Secondly, as I mentioned earlier also, right, someone who has knowledge beyond their functional expertise. So what is really ideal will be whether you are a head of engineering or head of manufacturing, head of finance, head of HR, head of corporate com. Among the leaders that you see who are really doing very well are those who have the commercial knowledge. So to gain these, my favorite questions is like, what do you do after work? It sounds like simple question, but I cannot also give away a specific question. But I want to see whether do they invest in themselves. So back to what you have said and other speakers have said. I'm keen to see how much of time and where do they invest in themselves besides just working in their company, right? What do they do after work? What do they do on weekends? And that is to invest in the right areas. So normally, it's a good mixture of 70% on commercial knowledge or global knowledge around your expertise. 20% on global knowledge on all around what's happening in the US, China trade war is good for leaders to know what's the possible implication to their business later on. And 10% is personal development, right? So you got to just keep on learning in that manner. Third is intellectual honesty. So I've been sharing this in our board awareness program and also in some of our leadership discussions. Intellectual honesty is whereby once you have already solidified your knowledge in your own function and the global knowledge, then you will be honest and tying back to courage and confidence. You'll be honest to provide intellectual feedback to support or to debate on a certain idea. And a lot of boards and CEOs, they actually want that. But the notion that we have, I notice generally among Malaysian leaders is we tend to be a yes man because we are afraid of going against what they say. Not because we are followers, but because we are not sure how to say to them. We do not want to offend them. We do not want to look stupid. But actually, the other way around, they actually value your feedback because they hired you for that purpose. And when they have the courage to share your wisdom, your ideas, your experience, they will appreciate that because they're depending on you, right? The other one that is coming up more and more, I mean, it's been there for the last 10 years, but now in the pandemic, it's more amplified, will be the ability to manage ambiguities, to manage uncertainty. So what we look for will be, what kind of challenges, what kind of chaos, I love chaos, right? So what kind of chaos have they managed? Now, on the positive side, there's a research done by CCL. Asian leaders are more calm and more comfortable, apparently, at a higher degree. I wouldn't, speak higher one and against the other, compared to the European leaders, because Asia, we are so used to many types of chaos, whether it's flood, no hotels, political chaos, economic chaos, whatnot. So apparently we are more vulnerable. We have been exposed. Look at India, right? The reason, there's a tie, right? The reason you see there are many more up and coming Indian CEOs worldwide is because India itself has a potpourri of different backgrounds, people of different backgrounds. They've gone through many types of chaos, right? So we are more resilient chaos. So in short, these are the few areas that I'll look for. I mean, there are many other areas, but I'll look for that. And last but not least is a lot to do with being bold to move forward, not stepping back. That is very, very important. That's going beyond your function. I hope that helps.
Yeah. Thanks, Raj. I think, I mean, you touch on that the exact one that you were talking about. Sometimes it's not just where you are working, what you do. You raised that question, what do you do after work? I think that is the favorite questions of Richard Branson as well as Elon Musk. They wanted to know this. I think Tony Fernandez is going after that. If you're not passionate about what you do, if you're not gaining the extra knowledge in that field that you're in, the business knowledge and whatnot, and how could you give feedback, honest feedback to the thing? I think there's one proverb in Japanese proverb. If you continue to say yes to me, why you want to be in my team?
Yeah.
That, I mean, it's simple as that. I wanted to know what exactly you think. And the last point that you mentioned is about the ability to manage or rather lead the chaos. And I'm sure that if you're expert in it, you will find there's an order in chaos. Then you become the calm person in that. Thanks. Jocelyn, right?
Yes.
I'm going back to that leadership, issue that you raised alone. It would be a dream for any young professional, high potential professionals to be seen and noticed by HR managers like you so that they can onboard in their leadership development program. And we know that that will be the fast tracking. And I think Ram Charan gave about the leadership pipeline models and whatnot. It would be a dream for many hypo, right, to be there. What do you look for if you really wanted to trust and put them and accelerate their growth?
Okay. So some I might repeat myself again, but this is really based on my experience working in a succession planning, talent management work. And I realized that probably the biggest ROI that I saw in talent with two traits. The first trait is really ownership. Taking ownership of their own development. What I mean is that if, let's say, a person has been identified as a president of a APAC, right, business for a business unit in the company, but lacks of executive presence, and this is probably the development area of the person. And if the talent takes ownership of that, he or she will not wait for the manager to say, I'm going to do this for you, and etc. He or she will take that proactiveness to get feedback, to practice every day, to read a little bit more. What is executive presence? So how do I show up? How do I actually connect and engage with more senior stakeholders and speak their language? And how do I practice that? Not once in a while, not once a year when I receive feedback, but every single day, taking one step at a time. So that to me is ownership of doing so, and reflective as well. So that's one part that I saw time and time again. When talent does that, they take the ownership, they actually proactively work on their own development, they're going to get there. And the ROI from the organization is actually being multiplied because of that one trait itself. Second, I'm going to repeat myself again, is self-awareness. Mehan, you mentioned that. I think Dr. Dahlia mentioned that earlier on about self-awareness. It's so critical. Why? Because if you do not understand, if we don't understand ourselves, therefore it's very hard for any feedback to come in, for any development that I think I need, that humility to really acknowledge that I have this gap. Therefore, I need to work on it. And I understand myself. Why am I not speaking up in the meeting? And being reflective of that. And if the person do not have that heightened self-awareness, therefore any development, any feedback, any exposure given to the person, it's not going to have a strong, a big ROI. I'll stop there for the moment.
That stream will come again and again and again and again, because how are you showing up? How are you showing up? And one of the reason characteristic of the CEOs looking for before they put somebody on the leadership development program, whether the person is an initiator or responder. Responder not necessarily is bad, but that means you respond well, but you're a good employee. But they wanted to see whether, what do you see the future of the company? What are the things that you bring to the table during the discussion, right? And those are the things. Eric Kwan, okay, he was the initiator when I was working for WebEx, and there was hundreds of complaints about why WebEx is not working. But the WebEx said that no, it's okay. We are the market leader. Nobody going to dethrone us. And he said enough is enough. He tried, and he get out together with his friends. They started what they call Zoom. And first thing they did was make sure that all the complaints that WebEx received no longer exist in Zoom. And that's where they are today, right?
Yep.
It's about being a initiator and going there. And the leaders will look for that one. Dalia, okay, we know that. How a candidate, the future success-oriented candidate, can prepare themselves by going through some programs, let's say for instance, MBA programs or any other personal development program. How crucial it is for them to be prepared even before they go into that marketplace?
Um, well, I mean, I guess the one of the most classic reason why people are going back to furthering their study would be because of the career advancement. Like what Miss Jocelyn has said, this is actually taking ownership of their own development. So usually after working for quite some time, people just feel that they require additional something to be at the management level positions, or they might have been in the managerial positions, but they require a different perspective in seeing things. So because of this, they might decide to go back to education to do an additional degree. So this is perhaps quite relevant as well to what Mr. Rush had said earlier, that going beyond the necessary. So what happened is that what they have to be prepared before they go into this is the decision is actually theirs. They have to know why they want to do certain things. Because if they don't know why they don't have the passion, like Tan Sri said, for education, they don't have the passion for knowledge. Going and doing an extra degree will not help them at all. So I remembered in one of my MBA class, it was very fortunate to have at that point of time. I have one CFO in my class, and also we have a lot of people coming from prominent companies. And in that class itself, I saw the leaders in making, you see, in the classroom platform, where you get all these people from different backgrounds. They started sharing their stories, they started arguing professionally in a way, not really trying to put people down, but they are just discussing and learning things. So as they go out from that class, like let's say they come in with only one case, they actually get out with more and more things more things to think, and more things that they have learned. So going back to why people sometimes go back to study, one of it is, of course, they also want to make a shift from one industry to another, or one functional area to another. Let's say before this they were in sales, now they want to be in HR. But this one also, there's a certain time limit for it. If let's say you have been working in sales for more than 15 years, it's quite difficult to change that functional area, by just adding an additional degree in your CV. So that's why what I want to say is that when people want to have an additional degree, they have to be able to open their mind. They have to be able to accept people's comments. They have to agree to disagree with the professors, with the other students who may also be aspiring professionals, right? So, but at the end of the day, the decision is yours. So, as I mentioned, you must know the reason behind your choice, and you must think carefully of what you want to achieve at the end. You have to analyze what the market has, and at the end of the day, only make your decision.
Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you, Dalia. it's interesting what you said. I think that is what do you call Spartan, okay, war cry. You know, they said, be prepared to sweat more in training so that you will bleed less during the war. You know, that's what they say. You know, be prepared to sweat more in training so that you'll bleed less in the war because you'll be well prepared for that. And we know that the best time to fix the roof is when it is shining, not when it's raining, right? I think this is the right time to move forward. For that, I met up with Dr. Tuan Haji Abdul Wahab, you know, the giant in Nestle. I think almost everyone in Malaysia, not everyone, most of them, they all have the footprint of Encik Wahab in their life and come to HR and whatnot. And I known him since late 1990s, and he was my mentor in MIHRM, and we worked together with a lot of projects. Then I asked him, okay, what are the characteristics of the high performance, what they call employees? And this is what he got to say. Allow me to share that video right now. I'm going in there now, right now. One of the top positions if you want to highlight the person as the future of the organization. In other words, what someone must do to climb up the ladder of the corporate ladder. What are the skills that come with it?
Well, if we're talking about what are the things that I would for people who have a high potential, because with people high potential, the one that is to climb up the ladder. I normally go on the basis of the first stage, which is something that's a must. Is to consider the person has. That the person has in the field in which he or she is working right now. That is number one. That one they must have. And this competency is not based on what he or she has acquired in the past, but it's more something that's relevant and be ready to have competency renewed as we move along the time. Number two, the capability of the person. The capability of the person is how you see the sustained performance. I use the word sustained performance, not a yo-yo performance. Because a person or the competency means nothing if it does not translate the competency into the sustained performance. So that is very important. That is part of the capability. That in order for us to identify like this, in order to identify whether a person has got potential or not to climb up the ladder, is that whether the person has got the capacity. Capacity here is what I mean is that whether he or she is able to assume much higher, bigger, and complex responsibility. This is where we have to be very careful. A lot of people think that performance is equal to potential, not necessarily so. You may have a very good salesman, top salesman, but only as a salesman. You will only see the person capacity with the potential when you are able to stretch the person to do much more bigger, higher, and complex. That is very important.
Yeah.
One of the key things for us to look at whether the person is able to move further or not. Then we go on the next one. The fourth one is the person's what we call it character. Very important. Yeah? Because this is where the EQ comes in.
having the IQ is one thing, but the EQ can be. When you talk about the characteristics, talk about the attitude of the person, the drive that the person has, and how the person, whether he or she is a team player or not. These are the various characters that then the next one is very important because this is the reality that I have seen many high potential. The person has got a tendency. The tendency because in extrovert I can use the word compatibility. Let's say that a person is a very highly intelligent person, has shown great potential, but not able to manage the stakeholders.
Otherwise, there is no way that you can climb up.
They say that if you are the boss and you've got somebody who's very highly intelligent, but all the time make it into a lot of unnecessary argument, and then he or she thinks that he's the only smart person. I don't think you would like to consider the person as a high potential. So that is why it's very important to have.
It's brilliant, Jawahar, because talking about, I summarized the 5 C's. We talked about the competencies, capabilities, capacities, as well as the character, and finally the chemistry. I tell you what, it's so effective, so simple, so essential for somebody to master all this, and they can acquire a lot of it. Hi, we are back again. The 5 C's of what you call competencies that you have to master: the competencies and the capabilities, capacities, character, chemistry, and compatibility. I think that was, when I interviewed him, it is more than an hour, but this is the gist of what you were saying. We are what you call coming to the end of our what you call discussions, and I'm going to ask 3 of you all one different questions. Raj, what will be your one strong take-home message for these people, those who are facing the uncertain challenges, and how to turn it around into opportunities? What they should do to get ready to face this future, Raj? Volume, Raj?
Yeah. It is high. Can you check?
Yes. Okay, it's good.
Okay. So that's not just one, but if I may summarize one, then it will be being bold to venture into the unknown. So
Okay, sure.
that is important because there's a lot of uncertainty. There are always new disruptions coming in, whether it's digital or pandemic or whatnot. So it's being bold to venture into the unknown. Yeah.
Being
And
bold.
the other one is, being bold. Second is being a good people leader. So when you're driving change, when you're driving transformation, it's very important that people know what they're doing. So one is first of all, being authentic, especially now when you're all working from home, there's less engagement. So that we need to be more understanding. So one is being authentic. Second is don't be too much on digital, lots of WhatsApp and Zoom and whatnot. Don't forget to humanize the process, whether it's technology or process or even day-to-day engagement. Don't forget to humanize the process. And third is don't forget to develop your people to be able to succeed.
Thank you, Raj. I think I like that first part. Be comfortable, being uncomfortable. Being the unknown. When I was talking to Wahab, he said the same thing. He said, "Mehan, what are you doing?" I said, "I'm talking about the post-pandemic." He said, "What is post-pandemic? There is no such thing as post-pandemic because pandemic is here to stay." He said, and whatever that happened is not going to be post-pandemic. That is going to be the new realities. He said, there is no more new normal. That's the normal that we have, and be comfortable with that. Jocelyn, there's a question for you. Okay,
Yep.
that we picked up from there. He said, how do we guide? This question from Mr. Jay Gopi. How do we guide or develop or encourage our subordinate as a leader to improve their quality of the work? Sometimes they do work, they don't bring their heart into that, quality of the work, or even their output. And what do we do that?
Okay, great question. From a coaching standpoint, I always love to relate the work to a personal goals and values of the individual. So sometimes, right, people don't do certain thing in a way that we expect in terms of the standard or what. Lack of motivation or lack of that interest. Therefore, I think as a leader, how do we ignite? How do we find out what is this person's interest actually? If this person actually want to do that to get to a certain part of a different career or whatever, how then we could help this person see in a bigger perspective what you're doing right now, how would it impact in terms of actually the goals that you wanted. Or if you do not have interest in this area, how you actually can inject some fun. So I think exploration with the individuals that you're coaching, that you're leading is critical on that. Yeah.
Okay.
And can I add a little bit, Mehan, about
Please.
like what can we do during this time of abundance? And I will not take more than 1 minute.
Okay,
It's
please.
really one, right? All of us have to look at our outer look at abundance. Despite the challenge and the situation that we are facing right now, think abundance, that life is great. This is the time and opportunity for me to rise. And I
Yeah.
think it needs to start from there. And I encourage everyone to don't fall in the rabbit hole, but rise and say that during this time, what is it teaching me to bring out the best in me? Second, find a great mentor. I think, Mehan, you keep saying that you are still having mentors in your life. I think it's really critical. A lot of successful people in the life have a lot of great mentors. Probably not one, two that teach, or three, no matter how many, teach us in a different way. If this person don't want you to take themselves as mentor, you don't have to declare you're my mentor or whatever, but you know for sure I'm learning from this person in this area, I'm learning from this person in this area. And lastly, do not wait for the opportunity to be given to you. For example, if you're in sales, but you actually want to move into finance or in other area, how do you find those opportunities? Can you join HRM? Can you find some friends in HR on how can I learn more about doing this area? So I think be creative, open yourself, think life is abundant. Then suddenly you realize that there's actually more opportunity than obstacles.
True. Thanks, Jocelyn. I like that the first part of it. I think you really touched on the growth mindset. There is so much to gain. Robin Sharma, he did once mention that I'm able to see far than the rest of them because I'm standing on the shoulders of the giants. Those are my mentors. Okay, my mentors,
Right.
and I think that's what's happening in me. I mean, I'm so proud. I'm a teacher to thousands, a student to thousand more. That's the thing. Dalia, in my recent what you call LinkedIn post, and I shared this what you call phrase. I said, when you finished changing, you are finished. Right? That's what I said. What about learning? Why they should embark that learning journey, that they should continue with their MBA or DBA or whatever it is. Why they should continue to what you call gain knowledge, Dalia?
Right. Okay. Yes. I like that phrase. I think learning is something that has to be occurring ongoingly. We cannot
Correct.
stop ourselves from learning. And having, with the current pandemic, it's kind of interesting because currently I see people becoming more resilient and more creative in doing things.
Correct.
And I see that people are beginning to be comfortable with change.
Mhm,
So this is to me one of the biggest hurdle that we have in the past. Change. People don't like to change. As simple as when you change your watch from your left hand to the right hand, we feel very uncomfortable with a simple change like that. So
correct.
people don't like to change, but now we have been so comfortable with change, and we become more flexible and dynamic. And to me, those characteristics, alongside with continuous learning, those characteristics such as resilience, creative, flexible, dynamic, these are the formula needed to survive the challenge that we have now. So that's why learning is a must. It doesn't have to be an additional degree. I mean, I don't want to say that additional degree is only the way for us to learn. There are many other ways to learn. We can learn by observing others. We can learn by going into classes. Can learn just by having discussions. So there are many forms of learning. So
Thanks.
what I say is just ongoing learning. That's the thing that is very important.
Thanks, Dalia. Thank you very much. I think Raj and Juslain, Dalia all talked about the way to deal with the challenges. I think the input. But what about the solution? What can the School of Business and Economics to bring to the table as a solution? I think I'm going to call upon Rajan Narina, okay, the program director of MBA program director, to share what others can take advantage of our existence and our expertise in the space. Okay, Naren, up to you.
Thank you very much, Mihan, and also the panelists. It has been a very insightful discussion indeed. Just allow me to share a little bit about our MBA program here in School of Business and Economics, University Putra, Malaysia. Let me just share with you one particular infographic, a quick one. Okay, just to highlight certain things. I hope you can see it now. The School of Business and Economics is actually re-offering our MBA program starting this November 2020. And our MBA program offers you a one-year program to you to learn current business knowledge and issues. It is a globally recognized program with a strong Asian focus. We offer you enhanced problem solving and decision making skills through case development. For your information, our program is offering you a case study research project, not just the usual empirical research project that we have seen previously in other schools. Okay, we have also experienced and knowledgeable instructors from an AACSB accredited school. We are the first AACSB accredited school in Malaysia, when we also offer you realistic and wholesome learning experience. Again, we would like to offer you to graduate in 1 year time because we offer a trimester-based program. We have intakes November, March, and also July. Currently, our program is operating on, or the classes are on weekdays in evenings, 6 to 9 p.m. Full-time and face-to-face. Full-time means it can also be taken part-time, but the credit hours may be lessened for those who want to also focus on their jobs. But of course, in the November trimester, we are going online because of this particular situation that we are facing now. We offer you 42 credit hours to graduate. These are just the categories of the courses that we offer. And we also offer you competitive program fee for local and international students, as you can see there. All right. But of course, to register and to be admitted to our program, there are certain conditions and requirements. Basically saying that you need to have at least a minimum of 1 year working experience. If you have a bachelor's degree of 3.0 and above, but if you have lesser than that, then you may need 2 years or more, right? Of course, if you have any other inquiries pertaining to MBA, please do not hesitate to contact us via mba@upm.edu or .edu.my, or just give us a call at the number there. Right. So let me. Okay.
Go ahead,
So
Naren.
yeah, so Mihan, it is a very exciting time for us at School of Business and Economics, and on behalf of the Dean of SPE or School of Business and Economics, Prof. Azali Muhammad, and also our Deputy Dean of Graduate Studies, Professor Yohanis Abdul Aziz, I would like to launch our Masters of Business Administration MBA program in the School of Business and Economics starting November 2020. Thank you very much, Mihan.
Thank you, Naren. Thank you. I think this is our solutions to that. So we come to the end of our program, but I'm going to close the whole thing by asking two specific questions to Gislin and Raj because we wanted to get the best out of your minds right now. One of the questions that we asked to Gislin, to you, what are the competencies? Oh, sorry, let me read that questions. Okay. As a fresh intern, what are the important qualities that companies look for? How do you know that the intern is shining?
So, okay, to make you easily remember, just
Okay.
think about
All right.
10x. What I mean 10x is that if you're being asked to do one thing, how you can actually expand the
Right.
impact 10 times. If you're asked to do one training policy, how can you think about not just the training policy, how you're actually going to help the person to do it online, offline. So I think about broader, so that people say, oh my goodness, you're just an intern, but you can actually bring so much value to the
All right.
company.
Thank you so much. Thank you so
I
much.
hope that
And
helps.
I connect that when I attended a what I call training program by Seth Godin, and he used the 10x thing. He said, "Can you demonstrate 10x values to the money that people paying you to attend your program?" He said, "They
Right.
pay you 1,000, they must take home 10,000 ringgit worth of knowledge. If you can promise that, then you have them as your lifetime client." He said that. All right, it's brilliant. Raj, and the question for you is that there are so many of them and high qualities. They are competing for the same job as a fresh graduate. Now they're attending that interview. How they can shine compared to the rest? Raj, your volume. Raj, volume, please.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, please. Now,
Yeah.
yeah.
So my advice to interns would be like, apply for jobs where you know you'll do very well. So a lot of interns apply for every job that's available and they fail in the interview. So apply for jobs where you know that your academic training would be really useful, where your skill sets that you learn in university. So that's the first step. So even before winning the interview, go to the right place. Don't blindly apply and then you get disappointed. But secondly is knowing how to sell yourself. So whether you like it or not, recruitment and interview is a marketing, it needs a marketing approach. So answering the questions correctly. Secondly, really being able to articulate very clearly what are your ambitions, what do you want to achieve, and also what are your skill sets to bring. Third is too late to ask at the internship level. Third is even at the university level in your first year itself, you must be already looking beyond your own faculty classes. So you got to be involved in public speaking, get involved in CSR projects, get involved in other projects in the university. Because these are all things that we look for as an intern. Our clients look for interns, people who want to do a lot more than what is given to them. So these are a few things that you need to really be able to articulate in the interview. One key point that interns forget is that they say that I don't have working experience, so how can I get selected? Don't forget, any project that you've done in a university is a form of work experience. So please learn how to articulate those projects in your CV. Be very specific about your role, and in the interview they will ask you about those experiences. Be ready to answer with very, very clear articulation of skill sets.
All right. Thanks, Raj. Dalia, okay. Yes, they have made it. They are high flyers and whatnot. But I always remember the advice that you have given to me. The rest, okay. What is the point of you being successful but you are not happy? So where does this work-life balance comes in, Dalia? What will be the message for them in the pursuit of all this? How they should bring in? I actually don't call it work-life balance. I call it life-work balance. I put life as a priority
Yeah.
and I bring in the work. And what about you, Dalia?
I think I remembered you saying, Mihan, that there is no work-life balance. It's just doing work that you like the most and having the greatest life that you want to have,
Exactly.
right? So
Mhm.
I guess work-life balance it depends on the individual because people, if you are not careful, you're going to be swayed to do one thing over the other. As a mother of like me with 4 kids, I have to really find a balance in making sure that my career is still successful, but at the same time making sure that my kids are well tended. uh, so in a way, it is to me as an individual, it is up to us. When there's a will, there's always a way. So we always want, but we must know what makes us happy, and we find a balance in that.
Okay, thank you, Dahlia. Okay, I like what you said that, and I think Jocelyn will be attached to that one. I remember that when we contacted her quite recent time, she was communicating with me from the park. She was going through, which is a morning routine. Then I showed the picture of my park that I'm also in the park right now. I think health is going to be the primary and the most important things for all. Thank you all, Ms. Jocelyn Jalil and Mr. Raj, also Dahlia and Rajan Arena, and also not forgetting Tan Sri, Anwar Ali, as well as the Tuanaji, Abdul Wahab. I think it was wonderful session. I can go on for another 1 hour with so much more coming from our panelists, and I would like to take this opportunity to thank the Dean of the faculty, or rather the School of Business and Economics, for allowing us to go through on this platform. And for Rajan Arena, all the best for our MBA programs forthcoming. For the listeners, okay, I leave you all with one quote, okay. Maurice Green, one of the athletes from US, okay, and she said this: the right mindset to have to succeed in life is that train as if you are number 2, compete as if you're number 1. Have that attitude in life all the time, people. So thank you very much, people, everyone. Wish you all a great life ahead. Bye-bye now.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
See you all soon.